What do you mean, file not found? That is never a thing that you want to see when you're looking for a file on your computer. All four in the back door? That really is hardcore. Anyway, last time we had like maybe a supernatural event that happened in this church. And yeah, well, we're gonna leave because what did we want to do? Let's see. Get signatures for Everart. That's correct. Of course, building communism. We know about that. That is something that we still... It's not going so well. There's a smoker on the balcony, which... It's not time yet. It'll be 2100. We haven't gotten there yet. But I think that we have almost talked to we have almost exhausted everything in this church. For now, anyway.
The mother of humanism stands above you.
Right, there was a white check that we failed here. What was that? It was visual calculus.
A crack runs across the length of her body.
Apparently, we might remember something if we do the if we have visual calculus, but it's not something. Oh yeah, that's right. Something that we learned last time. What was the Wompty Dumpty Dom Center? Passing encyclopedia passes gets 10 XP and 2 real. That's like really good. So, you know, maybe we should be helping out Encyclopedia. I did put some clothes on for Encyclopedia last time. We got Encyclopedia +2 going on. We have a point to spend. How about we give it to that? There we go. Encyclopedia is now at a massive, whopping 3. Whopping.
Denarian Church, the place to be. Make some noise, my church people.
Mm-hmm.
Vibrations thump through your blue soul. The music sounds much better in the church. A hawthorn tree on Rue de Saint-Gilles Lane, tangled in its branches, something bronze flutters in the wind.
A hawthorn tree? Something in the tree?
He stands on stage behind a table, nodding along to the music and waving his hand in the air. In front of him, the audio mixer, one reel spinning. The other reel deck is empty. Cables run hither and thither. On one side, you see an auxiliary line in with the number 4.5 written next to it.
Whoa, that was a crazy sound we heard before.
Yeah, it was awesome and scary, very hardcore.
His voice booms through the chamber, then gets silent.
Too hardcore, in fact. I couldn't control it at all.
What happened?
It sucks up all the air in the mix until it's the only thing left. Starts compressing itself and everything around it. Completely fills up the headspace. Extreme.
Inside your chest, the heart beats still with the after effects of the sound. Imagine if you could harness that power, making it pulse.
Is there any way we could use this power for our own means? Is there anything we can do about it?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe someone can do something with this. I imagine this is the sounds that the future could make.
Sounds like the future could be even more hardcore than I ever imagined.
Yeah!
Egghead is way into it. How do you like it in the church?
Yeah! Back on the case! No disgrace! Bring it down to party place! The first page of the second chapter!
His voice echoes all around the grand hall. You said you were worried. What do you think's wrong with the music?
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm still in love with the hardcore.
Turns pensive all of a sudden.
Sometimes I just feel like anodic music is in its infancy, you know? For example, take this Arno van Eyck jam I've been pumping for the last months, and will continue pumping for the rest of 51. Isn't something holding it back from being hyper?
He thinks for a moment, then his expression clears.
It's like it's only ultra.
I think it's super hardcore, but you're right. It's not hyper hardcore.
Yeah, It's only ultra hardcore, yeah. I have to agree. With my prodigious knowledge of Anadic music, I would agree with this.
It is, isn't it? I knew it. But how could it become harder core? I know the answer in my heart, but cannot sink it in my head. If this is not hyper, how could anything be?
Sounds suspiciously like a question. I thought the question was, what is the question?
No! This is the answer!
Try to think if anything could make it harder core.
What? Guys, there's something happening in his head.
What? Can you see in my head, Egghead?
As your mind works, the beat recedes from your ears. You hear your own blood pulsing through your head, nourishing your thoughts with oxygen. The rhythm is familiar.
Feel the movement of blood through my head.
The abstract shapes swelling in the foreground have done so in vain. This is a core matter. The answer in the double kick that moves the milliliters through your mind. The dark thud is the source of all rhythm, the inspiration behind mathematics, the hardcore.
We gotta think even harder.
Oh yeah! He's doing it!
I'm sorry, but my imagination fails me.
I know! So does mine!
He laughs and shakes his head.
But there's something else that hasn't failed you.
Wait, I just remembered something. I'm the police. I haven't really been doing much police stuff lately, have I?
Uh-huh.
Well, nothing. Me being the police isn't gonna help us.
Oh.
I can't help you with this right now. I need something else. Something extra.
Yeah!
Oh, physical instrument. 92%, +1 the beat of your heart, +1 what was that sound, +1 expert on Anadic music. Alright, let's see if we can make it harder core.
You know it in your lungs where the pressure should vibrate, in your heart that's alone, and in your solar plexus where the hits should land. So does every chordate animal.
Needs more bass.
What?
The young man makes a sudden move like he's going to turn the volume down, but that would be ridiculous. And a melody. A good melody is what makes a song really stick, so you can't get it out of your head anymore. Point at her head.
Wow, okay. We should start with the melody. But where would we get that stuff from?
I don't know. I was thinking you would know.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about Anodic music. I'm just the party boy. I get the people going and say it's hardcore.
He feels ashamed he can't be of more service to the future of dance music.
Okay, I'll look into it. In an official capacity, it's up to the police to make the beats go harder.
The young man falls silent with appreciation. He even tries to contain his smile, as if it could hinder your investigation.
Basically, what you need to find here is a tape with some banging music on it, so that Egghead could use it to remix Van Eyck's jam.
I do have a tape, but I wouldn't call the music banging.
Yeah, maybe that street hawker across the pawn shop has got some tapes to sell. That's just an idea.
Okay, like the vendor with the sunglasses and the pants and the sneakers on top of the speakers.
There is a hawthorn tree on Rue de Saint-Gislain, right next to the canal. A reel of magnetic tape is caught in its branches, like bronze ribbons blowing in the wind.
Second time Shivers has mentioned a tree. There's a tape in a tree? In a hawthorn tree. It feels cold.
Does it?
He looks around looking for the cold. Rue de Saint-Gislain. I've been there.
Oh, I know! I know this! I can tell you where it is!
St. G is the boulevard before the canal bridge. The one that takes you to the Whirling in Rags and the industrial harbour. It's got the lanterns and the
I knew that! I could have said that!
mosaic sidewalk.
But it's all blocked with that stupid traffic jam right now. Anyway.
Maybe we should look for a tree around there.
Anyway, that's all yours to figure out, Copman.
Copman!
Hey, I have a tape with me. Maybe you can use it to improve Vanek's jam.
Tape! Yeah! Spins the tape until the space escapes!
Oh, yes.
Yeah!
We also have the Door Gunner Megamix. What does he think about these samples?
Alright!
He snatches the tape from your hand and attaches it to the empty reel slot. One hand on his headphones, he listens to the audio. Then, shaking his head, he says,
No! No, no! This is gonna make people scared! Keep it positive! Keep the love in the house!
well, I don't want to give him the church one in case he likes it. He probably wouldn't, but
Yeah!
we do need to use that ourselves at some point. I mean, maybe tonight. Are you a thought reader?
No nation, but trans nation! No war, but class war!
So you're not a thought reader, you're a communist.
He's not a communist. It's just something he likes to yell. He picked it up from a tape jockey at the Elysium. She was a communist, though.
Yeah! With the rebel yell!
But why aren't you a communist? Communism is the truth.
I could be a communist! If you want that, do you want me to be a communist?
Please don't turn him into a communist.
Oh yeah, turn him into a communist. Come on, it would be super.
Oh, it might be too hardcore to do it. I mean, our goal here is to build communism. I mean, if it's really that easy, then great. Be a communist, Egghead. The future needs your help.
Aye!
He yells. You guess he's a communist now. Great.
Rule the nation!
He looks at you with an almost impossibly wide, shining grin, looking to see if you improve. Almost there. Could use a bit more work.
The worker must move your ass!
Still not it.
I'm sorry.
The young man drops his oversized head in shame. He is truly sorry he couldn't come up with a proletarian yell that would satisfy the great leader.
I'm sure he'll come up with something. Why are there lungs on your belt buckle?
Lungs are for love!
Why is that?
When Dolores Day was anointed innocence, her lungs started glowing through her body. For the world loved her, and she loved it back. Yeah!
I did forget about the glowing lungs, it's true. Glowing lungs. Bourgeois love from a bourgeois god queen towards a world getting rapidly more bourgeois. That's lungs for you.
Objectively, it was good for its time. And they sort of screwed it up after she passed, like they always do. Don't listen to that retrograde class warrior, Egg.
Well, I guess that's enough for Egghead. Well, we turned him communist. Alright, I think we had spoken to everyone else here. Well, unless Crabman is... I don't think Crabman is here. I would like to get Crabman's opinion on what happened, but... I mean, he's not available. And while we're here, might as well try making another phone call.
You pick up the handset. There's a tone. The machine is operable.
See if this actually leads to something at some point.
Calling. Still calling. Again? Seriously?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing it either, Authority.
Someone with a masculine voice picks up.
Hello, Gerard speaking.
Gerard. What a douche name. Change it. Change your name, Gerard.
What are you, like 5?
A woman's voice shouts something in the background, and when Gerard speaks again, his voice is hushed.
Thanks for calling, asshole.
Phone hanging up. Disconnect tone.
I agree. Gerard should probably change his name. There's a lot of empty space in this area. Can't really be sure if I've covered everything. Hard to tell. Oh, wait, there's an observation over there that I haven't done yet. All right, I guess we're going to run around. Oh, hold on, there's something there. Oh, there's like people here. Oh, hold on, let me just get that one observation that I saw. Okay, there is stuff over here that I haven't done yet. Some real. No boat in the boathouse today. Some magnesium and oversized superstar sunglasses. Let's have a look. +1 savoir-faire, dazzling reflexes, -1 visual calculus, the mirror lies. Is your own stardom too dazzling for your eyes? Can't bear to look at your own fabulous reflection in the mirror? Then these classic oversized sunglasses are for you. Savoir-faire and visual calculus. Viscalc is 0, savoir-faire is 0. Both of them, I mean, sunglasses is not going to help savoir-faire. Right now we've got +2 encyclopedia because of the Mega Binos prescription lenses. So we'll just keep those on for the time being. The boathouse is shoddily constructed. A strong breeze might knock it over. Ancient paint is peeling off the roof of the shaded bench, covered in rust. The sign says Entrée interdite. All ticket-taker booth, no longer in operation. People paid money to park here? No one would pay now. Some real and plastic tear. More tear. Some real. The door is not only barred shut, it is inaccessible. A door, a building, a hiding place. Could the instigator be inside? What? You mean Ruby? I guess it could be possible. Fawn Peepo? Peepo. Alright, some fawn gear. +2 to logic for ultimate peak focus. -1 perception, eyes on the road. The small wire framing inside this futuristic-looking fawn Peepo hat gives the aerodynamic shape of a swoop skier's helmet, but none of the protective qualities. Covers the wearer's ears and eyebrows to bring down the drag coefficient. So this is it's a hat. So I was wearing this, which is +1 reaction speed and -1 to rhetoric. This is +2 logic, -1 perception. That brings logic to a whopping 2. Perception down to 6. So we are debuffing perception a bit, but perception is pretty high. Still, logic at 2? I mean, 2 is too low, really, for much to happen.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other.
Well, we could probably try to buff Viscalc. Look, Kim, even more bullet holes. Something's definitely gone down here.
Correct. The density of the bullet holes is unusual. Even in a general average bullet hole frequency in Martinez sense. Grim affairs. Meaning, this is a lot of bullet holes. Looks like fully automatic rifle fire. Something you don't see these days.
Why not?
The manufacturing and sale of automatic rifles was curtailed after the revolution. The destructive power of such tools proved to be too much. We do need to retain some humanity in this world.
I mean, how unrealistic. Got to get rid of all the humanity. Okay, let's see if... Okay, we know about Feld Electrical, so, I mean, I assume... We can assume, why there's bullet holes in this wall. I guess this is where the Feld Electrical people, went. Let's see. Okay, the office shades give us VisCalc. Okay, that gives us +1 VisCalc. It's -1 to that. All right, so VisCalc is now getting a +2. So now it is a massive 2. Let's see. Let's take a look at that again.
Bullet holes is spread across the
28%.
reaching from one corner to the other.
Let's see. Do I have any cigarettes at the moment? Possibly I used my last one previous. Oh no, okay, we do have we still have one left. I guess we'll try it out because we have health to burn. There it is.
A scattering of bullet holes is spread
42%.
reaching from
All right. Well, if the chat wants to help out, we could try to buff int for this particular check. Try to get it over 50%. Why don't we try that? Why don't we see if we can get a little bit of a buff to int, and maybe visual calculus will go up a little bit more. Let's see if that can happen. All right, we're at 58%. It's the best we're gonna get. Let's see.
a row of
Hey, we did it.
stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet. No sound. No movement. 10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner. Automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. Droplets of rain fall on the wooden planks, the surrounding sand dunes. The clouds block out any rays of light. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains.
What is this?
The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed.
Look at the people against the wall.
A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations, as demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes. They stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. Ordinary people, familiar, each and every one of them.
Who were they?
Comrades, the forsaken, the wretched, who tried to rise against the horrors of the world.
Look at the line of soldiers.
7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. Soldiers from some side, but from which one? Men of duty, dark duty.
Who were they?
Murderers, twisted by orders, young boys forced into killing.
Look at the person standing on the side.
The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air. The lights of the muzzle flashes dancing on his face.
Kim, who was who in this execution?
I don't know. I don't know who died here, lined up beside that horrible wall. It could have been any of the parties involved in the revolution. Perhaps the ones executed here were the loyalist conservatives, killed by the communists at the start of the Civil War. Or it could have been the communists, put to death during the last stretch of the conflict by the coalition forces.
Remember what Trent Heidelstein said about Feld?
What if it was the Feld personnel when their assets were being seized by the revolutionaries?
Another likely scenario.
The lieutenant nods. Right, we talked to Trent last time about the Feld company.
Or maybe...
What about people from the coalition, the so-called moralists?
Yeah, it's very unlikely the coalition forces were the ones who died here. They were always the last ones against the wall. To be honest, if a coalition member was anyone in this situation, it was a commandant, the superior giving the orders.
Well, I guess that's it.
A cold sea wind blows away the figures. Behind this building, the other one, once filled with engineers and designers of Feld Electric, now collapsed and dead, but for some rats. You feel drawn, for some reason, to the faded mural again.
Again?
A row of ghostly shades facing a crumbling wall, with another 7 shades.
No, it doesn't look like there's anything else.
A cold sea behind this building. There's no way the perp is in here, officer. Look how scarred the boards are. All attempts to pry them off have failed.
Can I try to get in, though?
Not this time. The opposition is insurmountable, but I like the spirit. Have some points. It's lonely and cold without points.
Thanks, I love points.
And dangerous. Dangerous too.
Kim, you think she's in there?
The suspect? God, I hope not. I can't see a way in, though many have tried.
Nothing more to do here, then. Alright, so since visual calculus came through for us, but since that's done, we should put our encyclopedia glasses back on. You can see this jacket is what? Speed decor and visual calc. Bow tie was that's right, drama, +2 interfacing. Composure, savoir-faire. What were the other ones that we had? We had +1 empathy, +1 perception. What's empathy at right now? Empathy's at 4. Perception's at 6. Why don't we put our empathy shoes on? The shirt is conceptualization. Conceptualization is at 3. Let's see, other shirts, +1 rhetoric, but -1 empathy. +1 drama, if we wanted to increase drama some more. Drama is at 4. Could always get a little bit of a boost. +1 conceptualization. +1 logic. +1 physical instrument, which is really not useful to us because we can take our shirt off and get +2. And we just buff drama a little bit there. The pants, -1 to savoir-faire, +1 electrochemistry. We have these jeans, which is +1 electrochemistry, but -1 to reaction speed. These pants, +1 to the Kingdom of Conscious, which I was never really sure what that does. Like, I believe when they were talking about Kingdom of Conscious, they're basically talking about moralism, but I don't really know what wearing the pants does exactly. We'll just go with that for right now. Oh, actually, well, I mean, one other thing. If I wanted to hold the ledger, it would be +1 Inland Empire, +1 empathy, but -2 to authority. Authority's at 5, Inland Empire at 4, empathy 5. Yeah, sure, why not? Oh, also, I do have another point. Why not put it into Encyclopedia? Encyclopedia is now at 5. It's getting stronger all the time. So hopefully, it passes some passives. Some real. All right, so we passed a couple. Oh, what's this? This section of the coast hasn't been used in decades. All right, and we have some people up here. Tiny cages, carefully constructed. These soggy logs smell of an ignition fluid. Still, they won't light up. These heavy military blockades are riddled with bullet holes crumbling. What's that?
That patch of reeds over there, it's a great place to hide something. Kind of out of the way, being so close to the water.
I can't see anything interesting.
You don't have a reason to. Yet.
What's this about?
Nothing. Just a hunch. The hunch passes, leaving you there, by the old boy bobbing in the water. Time to go.
A hunch, you say? A boy bobs in the water. The number on it says 11. Oh? It's almost impossible to get a fire going this near to the ocean. What's this little thing right here? Some money. Alright, we got a couple people working out here. What they have to say.
Here we go. Nice and easy. No way out, little guys. Not out of this jam.
Hey, we found the cryptozoologist. Here he is the whole time.
There's a cylinder on the ground in which the man is arranging some netting. It looks like some kind of trap. He notices you.
Who's there? Oh, the police. Hello, officers.
Is that the police? Why are the police here?
Don't worry, Gary. I'll handle it.
Gary is a crypto-fascist. I didn't know that about Gary. You must be Morel, the cryptozoologist.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Lena sent me. She's been really worried about you and is waiting for you to get back.
Of course. Thank you for passing along the message. That damn water lock is broken, and we can't go all the way around the 881.
Yeah, that was me. I broke the water lock with my motor carriage, but it's fixed now. You can go back.
You broke the water lock with a motor carriage? But there was a billboard in the canal. Not a vehicle. It said Samaran Butter.
No, see, I jumped over the canal in my motor carriage, tearing through the Samaran Butter sign, which fell into the canal, blocking the gates. I used the pawn shop as a launch ramp.
Why?
Because I needed to drive into the ocean.
Sure. But you said the water lock is fixed now. So we can go back.
Did he say we can go back now?
Yes, Gary. We can go soon. If you see Lena, tell her I won't be long.
Sir, your wife is waiting for you.
I just have to do one more round. See if the phasmid has taken the bait. Then we're going.
He refastens a bit of netting that has come loose in the wind. I'm looking for a suspect. Have you seen a woman with red hair who seemed to be on the run?
I'm afraid not, officer. I've been busy digging around in the reeds for days, looking for signs of insect activity. I'm less interested in mammalian concerns, to be perfectly honest.
The lieutenant takes a short note in his notebook, then gestures for you to proceed.
Well, tell me about this phasmid you're looking for.
Which is why we've been knee-deep in the reeds laying traps for it.
You didn't mention that it's damned difficult to find. What makes it so difficult to find?
Good question. Being a phasmid of the order Phantasmodea, a ghost insect, it disguises itself as plant matter. In this case, the reeds. Awful lot of reeds around, aren't there? And I suspect it may have also developed other specialised techniques to protect itself from predators or scientists in our present case.
What sort of specialized techniques is the phasmid using to hide itself?
It's my hypothesis that it has evolved certain electrochemical defences that allow it to interfere with animal perception, impeding pattern recognition, confusing the visual cortex. But I cannot describe how these defences work, much less how they evolve, without studying a live specimen.
Yes, it makes perfect sense. You're beginning to suspect there's something paranatural about this phasmid.
Absolutely. How big is this phasmid?
I'm expecting it to be quite giant. One known species of phasmid, called the Megaphasmodeozoensis, is about the size of a grown man's forearm. So,
He leaves the conclusion up to you.
Seems puny, to be honest.
Well, physical instrument, I mean, for an insect, it's quite large. Why are you so interested in this stick bug? It doesn't seem to be as colorful as some of the other cryptids I've heard about.
typical rookie assumption. Insects are much more sophisticated creatures than those unversed in zoology give them credit for. Even simply catching a glimpse of the Insulindian phasmid would be the apex of of any cryptozoologist's career. But to study it and its defences, find out how it stayed hidden so long.
He shakes his head.
Would be glory itself.
Electrochemistry is interested in some glory. What have you discovered about it so far?
Very little, I'm sorry to say. No one's ever captured a specimen, so all our information is based on first and third-hand accounts.
No one's ever found one?
Not yet. That's what makes it a cryptid.
I guess that's true.
Just out of curiosity, if there's no proof of its existence, how do you know it's real?
I know it's real.
The cryptozoologist says, brusquely enough that even he seems taken aback by it.
By which I mean, I've heard enough first-hand accounts to believe quite firmly that the Insulindian phasmid is more than mere superstition.
Lena said that there was a sighting of it here in Martinez.
Yes, the most recent sighting was by a couple of teenagers along the coast here. That's what brought us to Martinez specifically. It's the first credible sighting in several decades. Admittedly, it's an unusual location for this species, but with all the sewage runoff upstream, it probably doesn't matter much anymore.
Maybe the Insulinian phasmid has died out?
I have to resist the thought. Such an extraordinary creature is doubtlessly highly resilient. After all, it's generally thought to be capable of parthenogenesis.
Is Encyclopedia going to tell us what parthenogenesis is?
He means asexual reproduction. The females of the species don't need to mate to produce viable eggs. This makes it easier for a species with a small population to survive.
Hell yes. Everything we can remember now gives us exp and monies. That's pretty clever.
Yes, the Insulindian phasmid is a very clever insect. That's why it's so damn difficult to catch. But as a scientist, I'll try my best to remain dispassionate.
Tell me more about these traps.
Well, they may not look impressive, but Lena designed them quite cleverly, so I'm sure they'll do the trick.
Lena designed the traps?
Yes.
He says with some pride. How do the traps work?
Simple. Attracted by the locusts, the phasmid crawls down the funnel and, having eaten its fill, can't get back out.
That is pretty simple, but sounds effective.
At least, that's the intention. The net isn't a perfect solution, but we didn't want to use anything that might damage the specimen's delicate exoskeleton.
What are you using as bait?
Locusts. Nearly all known phasmids are herbivores, of course. But we've hypothesized that the Insulindian phasmid might occasionally prey on other insects.
Inside the traps, a number of locusts crawl and tumble over one another in a tiny, chittering swarm.
What will you do if these traps don't work?
They'll work, I assure you. The predatory hypothesis, using locusts as bait, accounts for the failure of previous efforts by other teams, which use plants. We have given this some thought.
The traps do seem to be deftly and thoughtfully constructed. It's clear the cryptozoologist's wife knows what she's doing.
Let me ask you about something else.
Yes. What?
Lena seems pretty eager for you to return.
And I'm eager to return to her, I assure you. But I can't leave before we finish with these traps. My wife understands that just as well as anyone.
You look south, where Lena would be.
Come on, Morale. We've been soaking out here for days. It's time to go back.
And leave the traps? Absolutely not. I won't let Lena down.
Come on, she wants us back. I'm soaked up to my nuts over here. We'll both catch reed crabs if we don't dry out soon.
I didn't know the phasmid was so important to Lena.
Of course it's important to her. She's seen it. A verified sighting, on record. One of only 4 this century, and it's hers.
Really? She sighted the phasmid. She didn't tell me that.
Yes, that's how we first came to know one another, in fact. But that's her story to tell, not mine.
He coughs, then continues.
Needless to say, you must ask her about the mysterious phasmid.
Absolutely.
Suffice to say, it's long been our dream to find proof of the Insulindian phasmid together. I can't abandon course now.
Another cough, into his fist this time. Maybe he could go back to the whirling, warm up, come back to check the traps later.
No, no, no. The traps need to be monitored on a regular schedule. What would we do if the phasmid were to starve while we were sipping tea at the hostel?
I mean, it takes like 5 minutes to run back there. It's really not that far.
He's dead set on this.
I guess so.
I could go for some trap setting.
What if we check the traps for you?
I didn't expect you to take such an interest in our work here, officer.
He looks at you with obvious surprise. I am all in with this cryptid shit. I'm hooked.
Caught the bug, I see. It's easier to get caught up in the search than you'd imagine.
My partner was joking. We are on a search of our own. It wouldn't hurt to check the reeds while we're at it. I assume that's what we'll be doing?
Oh yes, officer. Very much so. The traps are all in the reeds. That is where we expect the phasmid to prowl.
Where are the traps?
There are 4 in total. One is to the south, on this little peninsula, by the boathouses there. It's very near.
All right. To the south by the boathouses.
Another we set in Land's End, to the northeast. It's behind a small sand dune there, on your way to the old radio tower, after the church.
All right, between the church and the radio tower.
The third is set near the canal, where you crossed, by a concrete slab. A big thicket of reeds going up the slope, and among them...
Near the canal where we crossed by a concrete slab.
You should check at least one of those before returning to this one, since I just said it. This one's more of a technicality, but still, better safe and stupid than sorry.
What if there's a phasmid in one of the traps?
Bring it to me at once. Just make sure the trap is closed tight.
He's not comfortable with the possibility that you'll claim the find, but he's lying about this even to himself.
What if I encounter the phasmid in the wild?
That's highly unlikely, officer. But in the event you do, I'll spray you with a pheromone mixture I developed.
Did you hear that? Pheromones. You were right about the teenagers.
So it really was the phasmid that made the teenagers make out?
Oh, I doubt there is any connection there. Anyway, these pheromones will attract the insect to you. or at least prevent it from bolting at the side of you. It's quite potent. Should last you about a week.
Lay it on me thick as we present our armpit. He douses you with the odd-smelling spray, a double helping as you present your other armpit, and then gives you a satisfied nod.
This is the smell of dying reeds, of longing crumbling into the water.
I hope you're not buying this. He dispenses it without letting you touch the canister, so it would be precious like holy water.
It is precious. A single dose cost me 50 real to develop. Not that I expect you to understand self-financing one's own research.
He looks at the lieutenant with disdain, and then puts the spray back in his pocket. I'm ready. Let's get to it.
Right. Which means you two can pack up and go back to the whirling.
Whatever he thinks about this detour, it's clear that these men are exhausted and in need of assistance.
Finally, someone's talking sense.
Thank you for your help. Gary and I will start breaking down camp. If you have any more questions, now's the time to ask. We'll be gone once you get to it.
If it's more cryptid-related business you want to discuss, you'll have time for that later too. But what if the information is vital? On the hunt.
How did you become a cryptozoologist?
I've just always liked animals and puzzles. Searching for cryptids is a bit of both.
So you're living your childhood dream out here.
It's not child's play, just because I have to traipse through the mud every so often.
His eyes narrow. Why not just be a zoologist? Real animals are puzzling too.
Real. I know you think one is a respectable profession, while the other is superstition. Everyone does.
I mean, honestly, being a cryptozoologist trumps most of the garbage I've seen people do.
My methods do not differ from other scientists. I simply draw upon a wider variety of evidence. And I have more hope that something truly surprising might happen.
Your nerve endings tell you there is no such thing as a positive surprise.
Life surprises are mostly miserable.
Agreed. Yet there is always a chance, albeit a small one, of a truly good surprise. One simply needs to look at the history of science. Serendipities abound.
And has anything truly surprising ever happened to you?
No, as I said, I have yet to catch a cryptid, although I have come close. Close enough to keep trying.
What kinds of evidence do you use?
Everything from forgotten regional lore to newspaper accounts, like the one that brought us here, to look for the phasmid. I keep a very open mind.
So you've never discovered a cryptid?
No. Very few cryptids are ever discovered, and not for a lack of trying. To stay hidden is a cryptid's primary quality. It's even in the name, cryptid.
So how many cryptids have been found?
Of the list of cryptids kept by the Cryptozoological Society of Chemney, which is 4,082 items long, about 2,000 have been confirmed as hoaxes. 2 are categorized as confirmed discoveries. The rest are in differing stages of discovery, refutation, and data collection.
Only 2 have proven to be real?
Yes, the Chateau Quan forest pygmy, who turned out to be an extinct species of primate, and a cave salamander from Yugograd, who is, honestly, quite unremarkable. It's in a zoo somewhere. We cryptozoologists are brutally honest with ourselves, more so even than the public. With cryptids, most cryptids are hoaxes or they are never found. That does not mean we should stop searching.
Then the Insulindian phasmid will be the 3rd.
Indeed. If our expedition is successful, every paper in the world will report on it. From Revachol to Dushantu. It will be a zoological miracle.
The hair on your arms stand up. Electricity. Sounds like reeds hissing.
Thanks for explaining that. Now, about something else.
Yes?
Let's talk about specific cryptids.
All right. What cryptids precisely? I usually discuss these things with specialists, so I don't know what.
We would have to discuss. He wants to say, but decides against it, since you've offered to help.
Which cryptid did you almost catch? You said before that you almost caught one.
A willow person. It's a long story. One non-specialist would find rather dull.
What are willow people?
They're not people, really. Some argue they aren't really animals, as they seem to have evolved directly from trees.
He says it in a self-explanatory, everyday manner.
They're very, very thin, almost flat in fact, and can camouflage themselves easily, wrapping themselves around trees and blending in with the tree bark. In that way, they're not too dissimilar from the phasmid we're looking for here.
Wait. So I may have seen these willow people without knowing it?
You probably have.
How did you almost catch a willow person?
Gary and I painted an entire grove's worth of trees in slow-drying paints. It was a bright lavender colour. I was hoping one of the willow people would get paint on it and not be able to camouflage itself. After waiting in hiding for hours, I saw a figure slip from one of the trees, a lavender shadow dashing through the grove.
And then?
I chased it with a net. Not very elegant. You can't be elegant in the field. And, well, it was faster than me.
A lavender shadow.
He smirks.
I know you think we were snacking on funny mushrooms. It's easier to mock someone than to admit that the world might be more interesting than you've imagined. Furthermore, I'm not saying it was a confirmed sighting. I'm painfully aware of what goes into verifying such things. There is a serious possibility that I saw a squirrel or a trick of the light. I am my own harshest critic.
And Lena's sighting of the phasmid, is that...
Confirmed. It's 100% verified and meets all the standards of an authentic cryptid sighting.
I know all about the kind green ape. Look, I even have a kind green ape pen.
I see you've been talking about cryptids with Lena. The kind green ape is one of her favourites.
A warm wave passes him. Of course, the kind green ape is her favorite, he thinks.
We travelled to South Safra to look for it once. Gary and I got stuck in a rainstorm, though, and had to spend most of our time there in a little village. The search was fabulously unsuccessful, but the people were very nice. I'm glad they didn't understand what Gary was saying about them.
What? South Safra? They're just on a different rung of the ladder, Morale. I had no problem with them.
Really? You kept complaining about how dirty everything is, but we digress.
They're a nascent culture. I just didn't feel comfortable. And let's change the topic, okay? Talk about your critters. Or whatever.
It seems like Gary might be an advocate of advanced race theory, possibly. Maybe he's internalized that thought. I need to know... Oh, no, I know about the most dangerous cryptid, the Gnome of Jeroma.
Formerly the most dangerous, yes. But do you know the most dangerous living cryptid?
Living? No.
The most dangerous cryptid is a carnivorous ruminant, known colloquially as the dread moose.
All right, now we're talking. Let's talk about this dread moose.
Yes, the dread moose subsists entirely on flesh. It has even been known to dig up fresh graves in search of sustenance.
Hold on. Does it attack people?
Human remains have been found deep in the forest, torn apart, then trampled into the mulch by large hooves. Infer from that what you will.
What does the dread moose look like?
Just like an ordinary Arden moose.
Then how can you tell if it's the ordinary or the dread kind?
You can't. That's what makes it so dreadful and hard to identify.
I am 100% behind the dread moose. I utterly believe it exists.
Of course you do.
The bodies found in the forest are just one piece of physical evidence. There's more. Sightings in Vasa, reaching back 4 centuries. But, of course, nothing satiates the skepticism of...
A detective. Pardon me, I did not wish to seek conflict. It's simply my training to question things.
Understood, Lieutenant.
The man tips his hat slightly and then looks to you. I know the biggest cryptid, the giant of Koko Nur.
That's impressive, I guess. But have you seen it with your own eyes?
No.
Of course you haven't.
He seems satisfied. Have you seen it?
I haven't had a chance to travel to Koko Nur. No. And I likely never will. The Samaskil desert region has been embroiled in a small civil war for the last 8 years. I fear this mindless barbarism may have wiped out the elusive creature entirely. Sightings of towering luminosities have grown rare recently, while they once used to be constant.
I wonder if you can call it a small civil war if it's lasted 8 years. I know about Cryobacter catlensis.
Oh, everyone knows about that one, thanks to Professor Mijanu being the talk of the town for a time.
He coughs into his fist.
A bit of jealousy there. He'd want that glory, truth be told, even if he'd have to inject himself with bacteria to get it.
Oh, right. The story about the person who injected themselves with the bacteria, with the cryptid bacteria.
Although, probably because her life ended as a result of her work in Gutler, no one remembers her contributions to the search for the Nong-Ok.
The Nong-Ok?
A flightless cursor owl found in the Seminine Isles. Its long legs permit the Nong-Ok to run faster than any other avian, perhaps any other animal, who knows. When it's not hunting its prey in this manner, the Ok hangs from tree branches, like a bat, waiting to dive on hapless prey below on the jungle floor. Mijanu liked extreme animals, you see. One of the few figures of the academic establishment I respect. Really a shame she disappeared.
When did she disappear?
Oh, decades ago. In the 30s. I didn't know her personally, of course. The chasm of academic pretension still stood before us, even though she had unusual courage for someone from the other side.
Look, just tell me about a cool cryptid. Any cryptid.
No offense, officer, but I'm not much of a pedagogue. I don't know what I would have done if Lena hadn't persuaded me to go back to field research. You should ask her if you want interesting stories. Me? I'm not a people person, unless you haven't noticed. And I don't make a good lecturer. My strength lies in field work and persistence.
He brushes an errant strand of hair from his eye. Enough tales, then. Let's change the subject.
By all means.
He coughs and wipes his mouth. I'll get going. All right. You wish Yumdal was a real... Okay, so...
I'm Gary. Very generous of you to help us out, officer.
It looks like Gary is a big fan of the man from Hyumdal.
Yellow man. I mean, officer.
Well, that just seems uncalled for. I used to have a mug that you might be interested in. I don't have that mug anymore.
The lieutenant raises his eyebrows slightly and takes out his notebook. Yellow man. That sounds awfully familiar. Something to keep in mind for later.
Do I need to keep it in mind? I mean, I think I can figure out what it means.
I'm just waiting for my friend Morel to finish up with his insect traps so we can return to civilization.
Not a lover of the great outdoors.
I like nature, just not this bloody coast. It's mostly drunks and degenerates that come here.
I think I might be a drunk. Or a degenerate. Maybe even both.
Dark times will do that to good men.
He nods gravely, then shifts his gaze to the pile of soggy logs to his feet. Oh, do I still have the mug? I thought I left it in the apartment, but... Maybe I thought I hung it up on like the mug rack, but maybe I didn't. Is this your mug?
My mug? Why would you think that?
You look like the kind of guy who might have a collection of mugs like this. home in his colonial mug collection.
How do you mean? Forgive me, officer, but we've only just met.
He is trying to avoid lying to you outright, in case you really have been to his apartment. He's trying not to look afraid, because that would be incriminating. Yet he is.
You're acting kind of suspicious. Did I mention the mug was found at the scene of a lynching?
Okay, I admit it. I threw the mug away in the trash container behind the hostel. I know I shouldn't have, and I am very sorry, officer.
All right, so I guess Gary is indeed the weasel who lives in the apartment that we broke into.
You're not going to find me, are you?
Sure, let's fine him for 250 real.
Oh, God. 250? How am I gonna pay that? Okay, I'll work harder. I'll pay it off. I promise. And I'll never do it again. I don't know what got into me, really. Work has been stressful lately. Damn Koiko's price dumping us out of competition.
What did you do, Gary?
Nothing. Just answering some questions. Helping out the law.
Here we go. Start pumping that sweet info.
How did you get into that trash container?
I know a guy who works with the trash collection services, CS Municipal. He gave me a master key for the trash containers of Martinez.
Why would you need to get into everyone's trash?
So I can use the Whirling's trash compactor to store my own stuff. Garbage disposal is expensive as hell. The damn Hemians run it like a mob. I'm sorry, okay? I thought I could cut costs. I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have disgraced myself.
Disgraced? No need for the histrionic, sir. It was, after all, just a trash container.
He studies his reaction. Gary doesn't answer.
Gary, did you put the clothes of a murder victim, the man who was hanged behind the whirling in rags, into that trash container?
Officer, please. Let me explain. It's not like that.
Do?
I was only cleaning up. I live right across the yard from where he was hanged, and I saw him stripped naked. All the clothes lying around in the yard, smelling. People are animals, you know?
Yes. What happened?
Then I came out to clean up the rags because no one else would. I put them into the Whirling's trash, along with a broken mug, admittedly.
He changes his mind mid-sentence.
Okay. I was coming to throw the mug away, and, well, I threw the mug there and the clothes too.
Right. It was just civic duty.
His lieutenant remarks drolly.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Civic duty.
As he shifts uncomfortably, a series of clicks, like the clinking of glass beads against one another as they roll across a hardwood floor. You've heard this sound before.
Oh, really? What's that strange sound?
What sound?
The clinking I heard when you moved. Are you wearing armor?
Really?
He fans his arms out slowly, and this time the motions are soundless.
There's lots of weird stuff out here in the reeds, though. Insects, trash. Could be the wind shifting some garbage nearby.
Every day, the wind shifts the reeds and whatever was left in them. Tambourines and condom wrappers, plastic and glass bottles. The smell of decay. The sound you heard was not the sound of something easily abandoned.
You wouldn't know anything about the victim's missing armor, would you?
Armor? No. I mean, yes. Of course. I know he was wearing armor, but I don't know anything about it.
An infant could see he's not telling the truth, but he's too scared to admit more wrongdoing.
Let's move on. For now.
I hope I could help your investigation, in my small way.
He's visibly relieved it's over.
Don't be so relieved yet, Gary. This bad cop may have been in your apartment, admiring your mug collection. Perhaps a little intimidation?
That's a high one. +1 clinking sound, +1 want to wear armor, +1 thinking about the armor. Let's talk about some other things. Are you a cryptozoologist too?
No. I help Morel with research sometimes, and I've learned some things along the way. But I don't usually go in for picnics like this on my own.
You were surprised to see my colleague, Lieutenant Kitsuragi.
Not many Sealites here, or anywhere, other than Sail. I meant no offense, truly.
Do you remember how, when we met Measurehead and I said the next races will be a really good one?
I do remember that.
Well, this is that racist.
Oh, I don't know. I think he's nothing compared to Measurehead.
I don't know who that is, but all I meant was there are not many Sealites around here.
Well, as far as I know, the lieutenant is a native of Revachol.
Oh, yes. Of course he is. I was just speaking about his connections. Let's change the subject, okay?
All right. So, Gary, you live nearby, in an apartment in Martinez?
Sure do, officer.
His eyes narrow slightly. He's wondering where this is going.
Have you found your door open lately?
In my home. Yes. When I was going to... How did you know?
Mr. Everard Clare thought it necessary to unlock your apartment.
Mr. Clare unlocked my apartment?
Well, no, I did per his request.
So you work for Everard Clare? Officer, please tell him we're good. No, tell him I'll make it up to him. What have I done? He'll send the muscle after me.
Try not to shit yourself, Gary. It's just an open door.
What could it be about? I probably talked too loud. In the whirling. About some theories I had. Whatever it is, I'm done with it.
Ooh, theories.
I won't do it again. If there's anything I can do to assist you, or the Union, just ask, okay? I'll try to help if I can.
This scared him proper. He's positively melting from fear. Has to prop himself up with a lot of anger to keep it together.
The weather vane has turned. He cannot be unturned.
He clearly liked his squirming. He may even have changed his mind about the whole door opening operation.
Is there anything new behind this one?
Everything I know, sir. I'm truly sorry for the mug, but I have nothing to do with that.
He shifts uncomfortably in his clothes.
Uncomfortable shifting around doesn't make him the killer, though. It's something else.
That's true. Well, let's see if we can increase our composure. Anything we can do to help that out. Yeah, the green shoes do help with composure. Seems like that's the only thing I have that can help with composure. So composure is now getting a +1, which gives it a 3. Not much. Well, I guess there's nothing... Well, actually, there is, Yeah, that was it. The speed. I mean, we could use that to increase our motorics. Gives a -1 to morale, but I mean, we have the magnesium. Feels like I have to do that twice to get the icon to appear. And that would be so intimidating if a cop changed his clothes and then did speed right in front of you, this apparently psyching himself up to ask you something. Composure is now 4.
always a pleasure to see an officer of the law. I mean, officers.
83%. Clinking sound, scared with apartment, want to wear armor, thinking about the armor. Well, I'm surprised at how much higher this became. Let's see if we can do it.
That shirt looks very uncomfortable on him. Look at the buttons, barely keeping that thing together, as if something is ready to rip out from underneath.
Is there something worn underneath it?
Yes, like a piece of ceramic armor, for example. One that makes a clicking sound when the plates meet each other, resembling pearls or marbles, stolen from the corpse in the yard near where he lives.
I see you're a connoisseur of high-quality combat gear.
I knew you'd figure it out, officer. I'm sorry I didn't tell you at once.
He unbuttons the shirt.
I was ashamed of what I did. And I didn't want you to know.
You see gleaming white ceramic shine underneath. A thin layer of interlocking plates covers his gaunt torso.
We're not detecting falsehood, sire. He's gearing up to admit the truth. This shame is surprisingly sincere.
Gary, what's going on?
Gary, why you taking your clothes off?
Later, Morale. I've got apologizing to do.
No, you've got explaining to do.
Give me the armor, Gary.
He sighs again, hangs his head, and unbuttons his shirt fully. A cuirass that matches the dead man's boots comes into view. Soon it is in your hands, smelling of his sweat, but so light to hold, like a bag of cotton.
Why did you really put those clothes in the trash?
Everyone was picking those pieces off him, and I was watching them do it. And they'd scattered his clothes all over the yard. Everything was smelling.
He looks at his feet.
So I went there to take out the trash and started cleaning up. All those rags on the ground, him swinging up there, and I had a lapse of honor, sir. I thought, he's a foreigner. They all say he wasn't from here. Only the cuirass was left. So I stripped it off him. It was early in the morning. No one saw me. I took it with me. It was a mistake. Had I known it'd give you guys trouble, I wouldn't have... Fuck.
It's okay. It was a loose end, and you are tying it up now.
I'm so fucking sorry I called you Yellow Man. Sealite officers commanded the suzerain's navy. Most of them sided with the king when...
He shakes his head.
It's difficult to say what the lieutenant thinks of this historic apology. His face does not belie emotions.
Why did you lie to me, Gary?
Because I was weak. I should have told you the moment I saw you. But...
The hell, Gary? You in trouble?
I'll explain later.
He doesn't muster up the strength to yell. Do you know who killed the hanged man?
I always thought it was the Union, but I sure as hell won't go around saying that anymore. You have my word. I don't know, and I won't be running my mouth on this subject anymore.
I guess that explains why Everard wanted us to open his door.
This is all he knows.
Are we done here, Gary?
Yes, absolutely. I will never do anything like this again. I won't mess with Mr. Clare either. You have my word.
Thank you for your cooperation. All right, let's look at something here. Our tasks. Let's see. I guess it went to the done pile. Now we have this, the Fairweather T500 Cuirass. +1 pain threshold, thicker skin. +1 volition, borrowed confidence. -1 empathy, mania of invulnerability. This vitreous enamel cuirass fits snugly and redistributes kinetic energy across its countless white plates. Amazingly, it fits under your coat. And it also makes pretty porcelain sounds when shaken. Let's see, the current shirt we're wearing increases drama. This would increase pain threshold and volition. So pain threshold is at 7. Would increase it to 8. Volition really does need an increase, doesn't it? It's a 2. It would decrease empathy. Empathy is at 5. If that would decrease it to 4, which is still enough for it to talk. So let's try putting that on. And yeah, okay. We'll go with that for the time being. All right, and let's take a look at the traps. The boathouse, the one he just set up, Land's End, and the canal that we crossed. There's other, like, lookables over there. Oh, yeah, this is, yeah, we did look, yeah, this was the building, that, yeah, Feld building.
Bright mural towering above you. The signage has peeled off over the years, but you can still make out Feld Electrical R&D. A slogan used to intertwine with the loops a long time ago. Now, only a shadow of peeled letters remains. It says, "Tomorrow is just a whisper away."
Step closer.
Above the mural, a collapsed roof, broken windows set in walls that are cracking and will soon also fall, and the coastal breeze rustling and sighing in the remains of the edifice.
Did the task to find Ruby just update? From this? Looking for Ruby brought you to a mural that you somehow think is important. Inspect it thoroughly.
Feld Electrical, you only know them as a small company that makes ink cartridges. Looks like they used to be big. There's something in the wind. Sometimes the only way to go forward is to fail first.
Why do I feel like I know this place?
Indeed. Somehow you knew it was here. An urban ruin gutted by looters that once used to consume money and dispense warmth and light. You felt it before when it rained in Martinez, and you felt the cold of the rain. The feeling persists. It has been in you ever since.
Could Ruby be in there?
In there? She could. Or she could be in the identical room over there, or in that boat shack, in that church tower, maybe.
Wow, it's impossible, but Shivers has got it going on. Reconstructed execution, established the nightclub, discovered the anomaly, death notification, found the jacket. Let's try it.
Even though you're sure you succeeded, all is quiet. There is no cold hand brushing against your forehead, no rustle in the reeds. The wind has died down. The ruin in front of you is silent as a tomb.
What was I even attempting to do here?
Trying to talk to the wind, the city, whatever you thought would happen, did not. And now you're just standing there, in the dusk hour, with your hands fallen to your side. A prayer of sorts. To Revachol.
She could be anywhere. How do we find her?
How do we? I was really hoping she'd be in the village. Okay. She's probably north of the village, and this place is a peninsula. We've already talked to the cryptozoologists. Working with them might give us a good excuse to run around, give us some structure. And then there's the church. We've already searched that and can rule it out. I know it doesn't feel like progress, but exclusion is a step too. Anyway, we do it the old-fashioned way, sector by sector. Go over the whole peninsula, ask the locals, enter the places where we can enter first, like we did in the village.
And if that fails, if we don't find her?
Then, if we're desperate, we can look where we can't enter. Bunkers, tomb drainage, this place. I'm sure it won't come to that.
He looks behind him at the dark red box crumbling across the chasm. Well, we did find that one bunker with the impossible door.
Walk the coast, the old boardwalk, the reeds. You can always come back here and talk to the wind again. Look where it already got you. Buckle up and raise your collar. This search is going to be wet and cold.
That's interesting. Like, if you wanted to do that again, it's another check. Well, it suggested that I walk around first before talking to the wind again. Also, I got a skill point, so hey, guess where that's going? Oh, can I not? Oh, that's, I reached my cap, I guess. Yes. I cannot boost Encyclopedia up any more than that because int is so low. So it's not going into that. But you know who else needs it? Rhetoric needs it. Because we do want to talk. Apparently, we need to talk to a container to convince the door to open. And we need Rhetoric to do that. Oh, wait, that's the phone. Oh, what's this? Buzz. Electricity flows through the wires with audible power. And we have already been here already. Alright, this is where we found the husband. I'm glad the corpse has indeed been moved. Well, we did spend a lot of time talking about cryptids and phasmids and the traps that we do need to check. The traps that have been set for the cryptids that I'm sure exist. And if we check them, that means that these two can go back to the whirling. I mean, they're not moving right now.
There's a trap in the reeds at your feet. Looks like the same one you saw Morel set before. Same mesh, same wiring.
Look around.
Behind you, the ruins of a residential building rise over the reeds, shielding them from the wind. The reeds rustle confidently. When this district was booming, the reeds were kept at bay. Nothing obscured the freshly painted facades. Nowhere for drunks and adventurous teenagers to hide. Now only the wind blows.
Reach for the trap.
Locusts are crawling around in the trap, confused but uneaten. You see no carnivorous reed phasmid gorging on them.
Big surprise. Anyway, 1 down, 3 to go.
It'll be in the next one. Surely.
Surely. Anyway, the air is nice and fresh here.
But the next one, that's the good one. That's the one that's really going to pay off. The second trap. No, we do have to go the other way around.
A familiar apparatus lies among the reeds, another one of Morel's traps, weighed down by stones to keep it in place.
Look around.
The reeds bend forlornly toward the water. Some tufts have been crushed. Broken stalks, sickly pale against the darkness. In the east, the city center hums to you. The constant, distant song, louder on this part of the coast, nearer somehow. And there's that cold again. Always the cold.
Reach for the trap.
This trap is also full of panicked locusts. No sign of any cryptozoological beast inside.
Another empty trap.
Well, let's keep going. The next one is the lucky one.
Yep. The next one has a crab trapped in it. These are just crab traps, you do realize?
That's not what Morel said. Okay, we did boathouses, we did the canal. There's Land's End far northeast of the Feld building, and the one that Morel just set up. All right. Crab traps. Pshaw. We're dealing with a professional cryptozoologist. Someone who is experienced in his field, which is absolutely real. And respected. I just wouldn't be setting up normal crab traps. So it said northeast of the Feld building. So here's the Feld building. I mean, it's not going to be on this built structure on this boardwalk. We're going to have to get into some wilderness. There it is.
This trap's not too hard to spot, once you know what to look for. Keeping it hidden has not been a priority for the cryptozoologist.
Look around.
The reeds sway in the coastal breeze. They seem to be waiting for something. The wind picks up here, near the cape's end, surrounding the narrow strip of land from 3 cardinal directions. It's cold for this time of year.
Reach for the trap.
Nothing but locusts in this trap as well. Definitely no cryptozoological monstrosity.
Empty as all of them. One more of these and we are done.
His face is red from the cold sea air. He crouches to catch his breath. Getting tired?
No, I'm fine. I didn't mean to complain, it's just...
He's short-winded. The sentence ends there. Well, it is true that we do run around a whole lot. Don't know what Kim's fizz stats are like. What is his endurance like? Oh, what's that?
Winter, slow to let go of Revachol. Flecks some more wet snow from above.
Look around us.
The snow falls lazily, making the beach sand paler still, mixing with the rust-colored sewage runoff. And to think, it seemed as though it were already spring.
How does it feel?
The melting snow seeps through your thin clothes. Grandmothers don't let their grandchildren out dressed so lightly in this weather. At least your hair is protected from getting wet and sticking together. You look around.
What's in the west?
More winding coastlines lined with abandoned buildings. Crumbling piers, salt water lapping at their dark piles. Grey and red forgotten city blocks. What remains of the pre-revolutionary effort to gentrify the coast.
And beyond that?
The waters turn black. Coal City in the shadow of San Martin. A boom town. Back when coal extracted from countless shafts near the city was needed to power Revachol. No more. The coal was supplanted by petroleum from the ocean floor and hydropower from the Esperance. Everything crumbled. These days, only the weakest remain in Coal City. Their hopes of getting rich linger in the defunct shafts under their feet.
What's in there?
Below the old mines, L'Océan Municipal, Revachel's underground cemetery. Le Petit Rat braved the underground passageways. Le Royaume.
Le Petit Rat?
Children under 14, they go underground looking for artifacts to sell to foreign museums and for fabled relics. Their parents let them. They go deeper.
Deeper.
After rubies, melchiorite, lapis lazuli, plundered from Safle and Seol during the time of the suzerain. In the burial chambers of the kings, Grand Old Philip, Guillaume II, and even in the mausoleum of Philip the Opulent. 2 kilometers underground, in a winding shaft along whose walls mirrors have been placed, so that daylight may eternally fall upon the richest of all the kings. The mausoleum contains untold quantities of gold, and that special, purest of the pure magenta cocaine, favored by Revacholian royalty. Did someone say untold quantities of cocaine? Drop everything immediately and go looking for this hoard.
Well, we're looking for cryptids right now, electrochemistry. We wipe the snow from our shoulder.
Few Petit Rats return from the shafts. Even fewer find what they're looking for. A small child steps out of the black tunnel with silver trinkets in her pockets. All around her, white snow on the extinguished coke furnaces and on the weather-worn shacks where fathers beat their sons after drinking. The snow melts on your fingers, turning to water.
What's in the east?
The canal you crossed to get here and beyond it. Martinez proper, the district the police forgot to police. There is laughter, lights, attempts at entrepreneurial activity, cynicism. Someone is scraping snow off their windshield at the roundabout, in the midst of which a statue of Philip III serves as a destination for grade school field trips and a fine perch for winter birds.
That's all?
Like all monuments, it's also a warning. 6-story ruins on the south side of the roundabout cast a long shadow over the profligate king.
And further.
A fenced-off yard. There's a truck belonging to a logistics company parked next to the gate. You've heard about it. Bright light from a building behind the fence reflects off its hood.
What's in the north?
An abandoned church that's being turned into a dance club. 4 youths are hard at work there, making it ever harder core.
They sure are. And further north?
A serpentine strip of land weaving its way into the Martinez Inlet. Unfortunates on the run from the law, from themselves, sometimes hide out on nearby islets. Little dots in the ocean that are occasionally submerged when the tide is high and the weather foul.
And on the islets?
The remains of a camp on a jagged piece of rock, a tent, old dishes and cutlery, long since abandoned. A hermit crab scuttles among the debris, looking for a new shell. Further out, the lights burn bright on Resurrection. Way beyond Martinez, a popular spa destination for ample-bodied Ozon kids with equally ample pockets.
And on the other side of the inlet?
Then there's Ozon, but the snow falls too thick. You cannot see that far.
Before that, before the curtains are drawn.
The Bay of Revachol, vastness, great depth, over 1,200 meters at its deepest. Water, air-brinier than hair. It is crisscrossed by huge cargo ships bearing company logos, wild pines, Zam, Mauryan, and at the farthest reaches of the Bay of Revachol, the shadow of the coalition warship Archer, on perpetual patrol duty, ready to unleash artillery fire if you were to rise up against the market. You shudder.
Oh, did we know that? That there's a gunship waiting to shoot us if communism rises up again? I forget if that was mentioned before. What's in the south?
The raised motorway, 881, separating Martinez from Jamrock. Vehicles whoosh past one another day and night, while those who reside in the labyrinthine alleyways beneath the motorway attempt to carry on with their lives in the snow and the slush. And south of the 881 is the Pox.
The Pox
Was once a park, a place for reflection and recuperation for the patients of the old military hospital. In the 20s, it was used as a quarantine center during a measles outbreak that killed many children. Most everyone has avoided the hospital and surrounding park ever since. The Pox is completely wild now. Evergreen thickets covered in snow and industrial dust. Feral dogs and even wolves roaming in packs. The police try to keep the deepest corners cordoned off.
But still?
Heavy drug users do slip through and hole up in the old military hospital, hoping to find something to get high on among the hastily abandoned supplies, or just to overdose in peace.
Further south.
A line of motor garages with armored carapaces hunched in the cold. A mechanic is hard at work, patching up bullet holes in the side of a Capri 40. These are the garages of Precinct 41. Snow settles on the roof of the repurposed silk mill. It serves as your station. Shivering RCM personnel hurry in and out of the main entrance. Around you, the snow continues to fall. To the west, the ocean swells.
No, it was home. I want more.
The stairs descend to Central Jamrock. A man named Cooklove has a snow-covered stall there in the market across the bridge. He sells kebab infested with fly larvae to your colleagues who believe eating it will make them immune to food poisoning.
Oh, yeah? Does it work?
Snow falls on the utility district, the library, the florist, the Sarah Mauritian restaurant that offers homemade wine, and also on the brothels and drug dens and the chop shops of the Zemlyaki. All of this built around a lake that formed in a meteorite strike. At the center of this lake, there is a little ship. There are lights at the bottom of its hull. They are lights directed toward the seafloor, looking for something, like whiskers.
For what?
A chill comes over you, crawling down your back. The sand under your feet is wet. Somewhere in the south, tarpaulin flap in the wind.
Where is Ruby?
Near, snow falls into dark water. She prays, though she doesn't believe. There is a hum in the air. That's all.
What's below me?
Layer upon layer of sand, poisoned with industrial runoff. The storm drainage, hidden bunkers. Rats scuttle.
Tell me a secret of the sands, Wind.
Someone stuffed a big old polar anorak into a concrete pipe under the boardwalk. It would keep you warm. You would probably never happen across it. But who knows?
A concrete pipe under the boardwalk. Well, if we ever notice such a thing, maybe we should pay attention for it. Stomp our feet for warmth, brushing off the snow.
We should keep moving. Who knows when the snow will let up?
Yes, the heavy snowfall that we're experiencing right now. There is a little bit. There's a little bit of a snowfall. Now that it's zoomed in, you can kind of see it a little better. Well, I hope Kim is refreshed after the little break. But we do have one more trap to check.
This is the last of the traps. The one Morel just set. Checking it over, he said, is just a technicality.
Look around.
The reeds by the abandoned campsite sway and tremble while the snow falls all around. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow.
Reach for the trap.
The trap feels light and silent as you pick it up. Something is different here.
Look closer.
No locust.
No
phasmid either. but still.
Look closer.
Well, the bait worked on something. This doesn't mean it was a reed monster, though. Unless you see one in there, I just see an empty trap.
The netting is a little untidy, messier than the others. Like someone or something picked the trap up and shook it before dropping it back down on the ground.
I do get the feeling that someone or something may have messed with the trap.
Perhaps our cryptozoologists have competition in the form of an actual entomologist, or someone else is sabotaging them. I could present more theories, but then I would be taking this on as a case, which I'm not.
But what if it was the phasmid? What if it ate them and got out?
Right. Anyway, that's for the cryptozoologists to figure out now. We are not cryptozoologists. We are cops.
I mean, we can do both.
A cold gust of air dries your sweaty face, and you look to the dark shadow, the felled building in the distance, drawing you to it. What a strange sensation. Once this is done, should you try to ask again?
Well, we could try it.
The reeds by the abandoned campsite sway and tremble, while the snow falls all around. The later it gets, the colder. Remnants of the camp can still be seen in the sand. The fire that's gone out. You feel strange, somehow.
What does this say now? The last trap was empty. Go back to the whirling. Yeah, we can, but Shivers suggested we do this again. And the first time we did it, it did say maybe we should walk around the coast before trying it again. We have now walked around the coast.
Bright mural towers above you, saying, Feld Electrical, R&D. Tomorrow is just a whisper away.
Wow, that went up even more because +3 found the empty trap. Why would that increase the percentage for this? I guess we'll try.
Suddenly, there's a sigh, carried on the molecules around you, moving, flowing from high pressure to low pressure, like that of a woman emptying her lungs. She wraps the collapsing stone box in front of you in her breath, flowing through it.
Where does it go?
In through the collapsed roof, flowing down a concrete staircase to the basement, sweeping away footprints in the dust on the stairs, and then the beach below the boardwalk. Its winding tunnels, a whisper away.
What's happening?
She's down there.
Say, I think she's down there, below this building.
Okay. Why?
Ever since I woke up, maybe even before, I've been getting these strange cold spells.
Good, yes. Cold spells. So basically your hangover is telling you she's down there?
Yes, I can literally talk to my hangover. That's how bad it's gotten.
Right. How do we get in, though? The doors were on the collapsed side of this building. They're gone, basically.
There's a ladder next to the sign. Perhaps we can climb it, enter through the roof?
Perhaps you can climb them. We are not climbing anything. I'm 43 years old, and I plan to live to see 70.
There has to be a way to use brute force. Climbing sounds unsafe. Brute force is safe. Look around and find something to break if the ladder fails.
We do like brute force, that is true. Well, it seems that Shivers is now explicitly telling us that Ruby is in here, well, below here. There's a ladder and there's a thing that we could break. Oh, that's the pipe, isn't it? We were told that there's a thing in a pipe. And I assume this would be the pipe.
An old pipe peeks out from beneath the rotten boards of the boardwalk. Could this be an alternative path into the felled building?
Look in.
Your eyes slowly begin to adjust to the darkness inside the drainage pipe. The lieutenant looks over your shoulder.
What's in there?
At first, you can't make anything out in the darkness at all.
Okay, what else?
As your eyes adjust, you see some trash, crumpled up newspapers, cigarette butts, someone has half-heartedly spray-painted skulls on the right side.
I like the half-hearted spray paint. They just weren't feeling it. Just were not feeling it. And
nothing. Broken glass from bottles thrown against the walls of the pipe. A syringe.
Could we get into the Feld building through this pipe?
Given that this isn't a martial arts thriller, it's highly unlikely, and not without risk to our health either. However, the pipe suggests there may be an entrance to the basement around.
The lieutenant pushes aside the reeds and looks around.
And it's right here, a maintenance door.
He points to a rusted metal double door to the right of the pipe, obscured by the reeds.
It's jammed shut. The subtle approach isn't going to work on this one.
Well, we're not a subtle person.
Oh yeah, big boy time. This needs you to put your back into it.
+1 broke into communist apartment, +1 broke bookstore door. So we have experience with door busting, but that's still pretty low. You see, here's a problem. Tonight's about cryptids. And, we may be able to make progress on the case, but that's not what we're here for right now. We checked those traps, and we need to go back to the whirling and let them know what's up. We gotta let them know. I can't think about solving the case when we got cryptids on the mind. So, priorities. It's the thing about being a detective. You gotta know what's important. Gotta be able to prioritize. Also, I wonder where that hawthorn tree is. Don't know where it might be, but the whirling is right here. That's what I know. All right. Oh.
Wait. No. Something about this bunch doesn't smell right.
What do you mean? Aren't they Everarch guys?
They are, but they don't seem too keen to talk with you, do they? No, they don't. Glenn seems to be contemplating grievous bodily harm while he massages his raw knuckles. In the far back, Eugene is doing his best to ignore you.
What was that sound? Meanwhile, Fat Angus keeps shooting you furtive glances and mumbling uneasily to himself.
And from his perch at the end of the table, Titus Hardy himself stares at you with a cold contempt that makes you want to leave the cafeteria straight away. Besides, you're pretty sure they consider themselves social democrats.
Thank you for throwing that in, Rhetoric. I guess I'll look elsewhere. I didn't actually intend to talk with them. We have some important people to speak with.
It's great to see you again, officer. My wife can't wait to thank you. Go on, talk to her.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
I'm basically also a cryptozoologist now.
I knew it.
I'm not surprised. It's already getting out of hand.
Well, in that case, sweetie, let me give you a small token of my gratitude. It's a tie, Mexican origin. The pin is an antique, quite special to the cryptozoological community.
The little silvery knob holding the tie together feels warm in your hand. It's in the shape of an avian skull with 8 eyes. You could ask her about this when you get the time. It's probably a cryptid, but the phasmid, of course, is more important.
You never told me you've seen the phasmid.
Oh, you don't want to hear about some old woman's ramblings.
Ramblings? Nonsense. Your description of the phasmid is the most precise I've ever heard.
But, darling, I didn't even get the size of it right.
You were a child, my dear. Really. It's extraordinary what you were able to describe. Now go on. Tell our friend about it. He's proven his interest in the field.
Reflexively, the lieutenant readies his familiar notebook.
Yes, tell me all about it.
Well, it was summer. I was building a racing track out of sand on the beach near a tall stand of reeds. Quite a tall one. Many times my height, I remember. When, all of a sudden...
Wait, where was this, and how old were you?
I'm getting ahead of myself. I was 5.5 in Betancourt in the suburbs. My grandmother had a summer home there.
What happened?
The strangest moment of my life. I looked up and one of the reeds moved. Not like a plant, but like a living thing. It stood up and looked at me. Its body unfolded like some antique toy. I've never seen anything like it.
She had no fear, just surprise.
I didn't know this can happen, so I reached my arm and touched the thing. It felt just like a stalk of reed, but it moved, swaying, towering above me. After a while, 20 seconds, a minute maybe, it left, went into the reeds.
Did you follow it?
I tried, but I was only a child. There was mud and high water. I couldn't see it anymore. I was just standing there knee-deep in mud, looking around me.
Where did you go? Don't go.
I ran back home to my grandmother and asked her if reeds could walk, and told her they were looking at me. Of course, she just laughed at me, but I knew what I'd seen. For years, it was a story I told at parties when I wanted to impress boys, that sort of thing. Of course, most people just took it as a strange, amusing anecdote. So did I, honestly. But then I met Morel.
We were on a date. Can you imagine? She tells me a story, and it's the most detailed report of the Insulindian phasmid I've ever heard. The sounds. She told me it hissed.
It did, yes. Like reeds in a gust of wind.
The way it moved, the colour, how some of its limbs were white, like marble. It matched perfectly with what I know from other accounts. It was amazing. If it weren't for Lena, I might have given up hope years ago. It's no exaggeration to say that she restored my faith in my profession.
He looks at her with admiration, forgetting a wide smile on his face. You were on a date?
Our first, yes.
The old woman looks at her husband tenderly. Its limbs were white.
Not all of them. There is some white coloration reported, along with beige, where the camouflage ends.
How big was it?
It's hard to say how big things are when you're quite small yourself. To me, it seemed to be taller than I was then, but that's probably not the case.
Maybe you imagined it, Lena?
How could she? Who imagines this? She didn't know about the phasmid. This is the main thing here, what makes it a confirmed sighting. She had no previous knowledge of the insect.
That's true, yes. I'm almost certain neither my mother nor my grandmother knew of it. It was only when I started telling my story as a teenager that boys would tell me, Lena,
She lowers her voice, imitating a boy.
you trying to tell us you saw the Insulindian phasmid out there in those reeds? Get out of here. They just give me a cider and ruffle my hair and tell me to stop dreaming. But I saw it.
Kim, what do you think of this?
I thought it was a wonderful story, ma'am.
He closes his notes and gives her a simple smile.
But I don't believe it. A child left unattended on a warm day. Children make up stories and then end up believing them.
Thank you for sharing this with me.
You're welcome, sweetie. I do appreciate the chance to relive it whenever I get one. It was just Such an impossibly sunshiny day. So warm.
And she could get up and walk right into the reeds on her own, into the mud, anywhere.
That's all for now, ma'am. What did I get from her? 8-eyed Terratorn tie, +1 Inland Empire, octuple vision, +1 volition, cryptid's protection. A slender bolo tie held together by an antique clasp in the shape of a bird's skull. The skull features 8 cavities for eyes. It's disturbing, but you can't look away. Right now, we're wearing the bow tie, which gives us +2 to drama. So removing that would change drama to 1. This is +1 in Inland Empire, +1 to volition. Inland Empire 6, volition 4. Oops. Yeah, sure. Volition really hasn't been talking all that much. Maybe we'll give it a little boost. And while we're here, hey Gart.
Hey, was there something you needed?
Gart, I need to sing karaoke. Now.
No, you don't. It's not happening.
Yeah, but Johnny Law is about to tear it up. Sad style.
The whirling doesn't need more sad style. That's one of the styles it can do without right now.
Why do you even have the PA system if no one's going to use it?
It's for no one. It's a prop. I'm not letting anyone use it after the great karaoke catastrophe of 44.
What happened in 44?
A lot of people got killed because some arsehole wanted to sing karaoke.
It's not a prop. It's for your clients. I know it's used.
Okay, yes, it's for some clients.
I'm a real client. I've paid my bills, and I have the right to use the karaoke machine.
Ha! Well, we don't have any tapes. They all got stolen.
It's all right. I have my own song with me.
The man in the vest and the violet shirt stares at the tape you've just given him. He begins to frown. Hard.
Fine. Climb on that stage and do your thing. Just get out of my hair. I'll plug it in for you. Damn this karaoke machine.
I'm having it uninstalled, he mumbles to himself. Oh yeah, time to do the damage.
Hell yes.
The stage is all set up for your performance. Feels silent. You can hear the pellets creak under your feet.
So, are you ready for your thing now? Let me know when I should turn on the karaoke carousel.
All right, I need to put the bow tie back on. Look, Kim, I'm going to sing karaoke.
I can see that.
Lieutenant steps away from the stage, ready for our performance. Put our lips against the microphone. Test it.
Immediately, a loud feedback noise startles the room. You feel like an amateur. How are you supposed to hold the mic? Should you just sing into it? Where should you stand? Hands. Where do you put your hands?
Yeah, what do you do with your hands? Look around the room first.
The bar is full and buzzing with chatter. No one is paying you any attention. But still you feel your knees turn to noodles. Okay, now a couple is looking at you. Even worse, you're sweating. They are going to hate you.
Oh, but that made it go even lower. -1 the hand conundrum, -1 too close to the mic. Well, sometimes if you're a superstar, you just have to go forward and deal with the consequences.
The air is thick with anticipation. Someone dims the lights as the music starts. A lump's in your throat suddenly.
I would often go there to the tiny church there, the smallest church in Sanson.
Now it once was larger. How the real may rest there, down through the mist there, towards the seven sisters, towards those pale cliffs there. I would often stay there in the tiny yard there. I have been so glad here, looking forward to the past here. But now you're all alone. None of this matters. At all.
I mean, honestly, I would not have been able to do any better. Plus 30 experience. We have sung karaoke.
Do you hear that? It's the most pathetic applause in the world, Harry, made of pity. No one liked you.
I'm up here singing my fucking heart out, and it's not good enough for you fuckers?
You hear, or think you hear, uncomfortable shifting around. A bit of laughter, maybe. No one's saying anything.
I'm gonna unplug the mic now, okay?
You don't know what good singing is. This is real singing. I sang about real stuff.
That's it. I'm unplugging it.
He presses stop on the tape carousel. You hear a little whine of feedback, and then the mic dies in your hand.
That's it. You're unpowered.
Let's go, officer. These people wouldn't know a good performance if it beat them in the ass.
You liked it?
Detective Dubois, it was downright tragic. Now, let's go.
I mean it, he thinks.
Put down the mic. Well, at least Kim liked it, and that's really the thing that's important. Like, who cares if any of these other losers didn't like it? We sang our heart out. We sang what was in our soul, and we had to let everyone know about it. We're gonna save our game, and we're gonna say goodbye to Disco Elysium for now. It's been an eventful session. We learned all about cryptozoology. We checked the traps. We discovered maybe where Ruby is, but we can't deal with that right now because we had to deal with cryptozoology. And then after that, we had to sing. We had to sing. And so we did. And so we're going to say goodnight to Disco Elysium. As when we come back next time, well, I mean, it's still the night of day 4. And I'm sure there's no shortage of things to do. Will they be as good as singing karaoke? I mean, probably not, but there is still more to do before day 4 comes to an end in Disco Elysium.